was in this Jello eating contest, and he was like slowing down, and I was really buzzed up. I was like,
Okay.
so I walked over there with my little drinky poo, and I was like, if you just eat the Jello and swish it in your mouth and swallow it, you'll go a lot faster because he was shoveling it,
Yeah.
eating it like a potato or something. I don't know.
Okay.
And he just he went to see who the hell's talking to him. He looked up and he was just like, those eyes.
He said
And
that?
yes.
That is smooth.
Yeah.
That is game in the middle of a contest to think about that.
Yeah, and he lost. and he blames it on me.
And welcome back to Now We're Dads, episode 21, guys, I'm pretty sure. Thank you guys for joining us. Today, we have a special guest for you guys. So please introduce yourself for the people here.
I'm Kim Johnson.
All right, so I wanted to bring you on today because, you've raised 3 boys, if I'm not mistaken, right? I just want to get your perspective on that, hear a little bit about your backstory, and hopefully, I'm raising a girl myself, but I do plan on having more kids in the future. So if I have some boys, maybe get some advice.
Oh, I got plenty.
Yeah.
Got plenty on boys.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your childhood, how you started, and just basics, I guess.
Childhood, going back to how far?
However far back you want to go.
I was...
Whatever you think defines you.
I was born in 71.
Okay.
So by the time 75, I was 4. So I do remember the blizzard of 78.
Okay.
So everybody talks about that.
I've never heard of it.
Oh,
Sorry.
Cleveland blizzard of 78.
Okay.
So some of the older people might know. I moved a lot as a child.
Okay. Where were you mainly at? Where were you born? Where did you end up going?
I was born in Cleveland.
Okay.
Then my parents moved to Florida when I was about 14 months, year and a half. Moved back to Florida, Ohio. And then when I was 8, 9 years old, they moved back to Florida.
Okay. Was there a particular reason you were moving so much?
Just, my parents, with, landlords, they rented all the time. And they had a couple houses they owned, just struggles in life and losing houses and, with landlords, how landlords are.
Sure. What was the longest you spent in one place, I guess? One city then?
I think it was 5 years we stayed at one place.
Okay.
And in Ohio, I think it was, no, that wasn't long at all either.
Okay.
I think it was 5 years in Florida.
So what ended up bringing you back to Ohio?
My grandmother passed away.
Okay.
And that really, the move really affected me. When my grandmother passed away, I was only almost 15 years old. So at 15 years old, you don't really, my grandma passed away. Death doesn't really hit you as much as it does as you get older. And so my mom got homesick. And my dad basically got homesick. My dad was not working so well in Florida, and it was always, in Ohio, was always better working for him.
Okay.
They got homesick, and the way they uprooted us was really messed with my head.
Because you were there for about good 5-ish years.
Yeah, because I had, the way she did it is that we came back, thought I was coming back for a funeral, and my mom decided after my grandmother's funeral, she just said, we want to sit down and have a family meeting. And we're like, okay, what's going on? She's, we're moving back to Ohio. I'm like, okay, all right. And she's like, you're going to stay and live with your aunt. You 3 are going to stay up here. We're going to go back and pack up. And so I didn't get to say goodbye to any of my friends who are my friends for many, many years. That close friends, they all thought we just vanished. Right. Some of them knew what happened, but some of them are like, oh my God, I never seen you again. I was supposed to be starting school, and she's like, you're not going to start my 10th grade year. She's like, and this was crucial, right. And that really put a big damper into my mental health. And
Okay. Did you hold that against your parents for quite a while?
no.
No? It's
No.
just kind of like the circumstances. You
It,
understood?
I basically, I wasn't a bad kid,
Okay.
and then after that happened, I went to 3 different schools before I got established in that 1 year. So I went to John Adams. First, I went to Avon Lake High School,
Okay.
and my mom found out they were still busing in Cleveland when we came back, and went to John Adams, from John Adams to Brooklyn High School, all in 10th grade.
All in 10th grade. Did
All
you
in 10th
finish in
grade.
10th? Did you finish in Brooklyn then?
Yes,
That's
I
my
graduated.
That's my alma mater.
That's me too.
I actually finished my last 2 years in
Class of '89.
in Parma, but I was there from 5th to 10th grade.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, hurricane.
I wish we had something to cheer about.
Oh, I know.
We could cheer for the band.
Yeah, the band was really good.
Yeah, they still are.
Yeah. Football team never was back then.
So you met your husband out here then?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an interesting story.
Okay. When did you meet him?
I met him in 88.
88. How old were you at the time? 18? Or 17?
17.
In high school then?
Yep.
Okay. So high school, did you guys start dating straight out of high school or?
No, I was still in high school.
Okay.
He was not. He was 21.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So how did you guys meet?
At a bar.
At a bar. When you were 17, Kim.
Yeah, I had a fake ID.
Okay. Okay, so walk me
At
through
a
that.
Jello eating contest.
A Jello eating contest. All right, walk me through that night. How'd that go?
Well, it was a local bar that I used to, go to that I never looked my age.
Okay.
My mom got me my fake ID.
Your mom got it for you.
Yeah, I still have it. I do still have
okay.
it. It's a little, my little treasure,
For sure.
to showed my kids. I'm gonna show my grandkids. And she found out me and my sister was taking me to bars, so she didn't want me to be in trouble and get in a paddy wagon and brought, in that phone call.
Right.
Cops.
We have
calling.
your daughter.
We have your daughter.
For sure.
So she says, I'm getting you a fake ID.
Okay.
It worked,
Gotcha.
except for one bar. So.
Okay. They just didn't let you in.
Yeah, and so there's a bar. They served me, and
So what it sounded like
I wasn't causing trouble. I was just sat there and drank my drinks, got drunk, and and
enjoyed conversations.
Yeah.
Okay. So what it sounded like is that she understood that you were going to go to the bars regardless.
Regardless, exactly.
And so she's like, if you're gonna do it, at least don't get kicked out.
Yeah, don't. I don't want a phone call. Here's this fake ID.
Okay. Pragmatic approach.
Yeah.
I like
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the night you met your husband at the bar.
It was a bar, and the owner was trying to bring more people in, so he decided to do like stupid, quirky things,
Okay.
So he decided a Jello eating contest of all things,
Jello.
And
Were they like Jello shots or just regular Jello?
regular Jello.
Cool. Okay.
So, and my husband, he was a drinker, and he's a recovering alcoholic of 27 years.
Awesome.
And he was in this Jello eating contest, and when I went to bars, I had 80s glasses, and they were like huge.
Okay.
80s glasses, like all the glasses that were coming back. So I always like took my glasses off and I cupped them in, and I did this because I didn't want to be with these glasses on. Now they're acceptable to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But I couldn't wear contacts because they bothered my eyes. So I just did that.
Okay.
But
You just squinted really
yeah, I
hard.
squinted all the time. I was like, eh. He was in this Jello eating contest, and he was like slowing down, and I was really buzzed up. I was like,
Okay.
So I walked over there with my little drinky poo, and I was like, if you just eat the Jello and swish it in your mouth and swallow it, you'll go a lot faster because he was shoveling it,
Yeah.
eating it like a potato or something. I don't know.
Okay.
And he just he went let's see who the hell's talking to him. He looked up and he was just like, those eyes.
He said
And,
that?
Yes.
That is smooth.
Yeah.
That is game in the middle of a contest to think about that.
Yeah, and he lost. and he blames it on me. I said, no, you didn't lose because of me.
he was already slowing down before.
Yeah. I try to tell him all the time.
So he tells you your eyes. It's the first thing he says.
Yep.
What happened afterwards? You start laughing. He buys you a drink.
No, I don't think he bought me a drink. Yeah, he did. Wait a minute. Yes, he did.
Okay.
And at the time, I was dating somebody else.
Oh, okay.
So, but that person was cheating on me.
Oh, okay.
So the person I was getting cheated on with, I met Troy, and I started seeing him because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's like, okay, you're cheating on me, so I started seeing him.
Sure.
That guy got jealous, and those two started fighting.
Causing fights over here.
Yes, I'm a lady. I'm the lady killer.
Okay.
I guess. I mean.
So then, obviously, that moves on.
That moves on. So I did start dating him, and like I said, was an alcoholic. So his party life and it just got in the way. And when the first time I broke up with him is because I didn't he was jealous, and I was a very independent person.
Like overly jealous?
Oh yeah, because he called me one time and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm about to go for a walk with my sisters," because we used to walk a lot.
Sure.
And he goes, "No, you're not." I said, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "No, I was like, "Oh, so is that how it's going to be?" And he goes, "Yeah, I don't want no one looking at you." I said, "Okay, well, you're no longer my boyfriend." Click.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
So I went my way, he went his way, and then all of a sudden we saw each other again, and he was sober, and he was trying to do sobriety. Now, I was in my more of a party mode.
Okay.
You know?
How old were you now that you guys reconnected?
What's that?
How long did you guys date the first time, and then how long were you?
It was like little spurts. So the first time I dated him, it was like maybe 2 months.
Oh, okay.
And then when his sobriety, I think that was 3-4 months. And then I ran into him a couple times in between. And the one time it was really funny because it was after his sobriety. I don't know if it was in between because he always tried to get sober. And he was up at the wax museum, and I was there, and he came in and he was acting like a fool.
Okay.
I went, "Troy," and he went, "Those eyes."
No, he did not. That's how he won you back.
And I'm like, "Oh God." And he walked out the door.
Okay.
And then that's the last time that it was the final time.
Yeah.
My sister was working up at the gas station. It's the bigger gas station, but it used to be a smaller one over on Memphis. Used to be this little tiny rinky-dink place. My sister was working there, and he goes, "Hey, what's your sister doing?" And she's like, "Oh, she's at home. Give me the number." So she gave him the number. And I was kind of pissed at her about it. I'm like, "Oh my God, why'd you give him my number?"
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
And then he called me, and he started talking to me, and he was sober again.
Okay.
For a longer period of time this time. So, and I was dwindling down on my wild side, and we got together, and it was all she wrote, and that was from 88, and that was 91, and beginning of 91. No, that was 90. And then in 91, we got married.
Awesome.
It was a very rough first 6 years, because he decided to, right before his bachelor party, to start drinking again.
Okay.
And it escalated more than drinking.
And that continued on for about
6 years.
About 6 years.
So basically, I felt like a single mother that was married.
How quickly did you have kids? Like before you married, after?
Before we got married.
Okay.
So he claims it was planned. I say no. He claims it was planned.
In his mind, he's like, "I know what I'm doing."
But I'm like, "Okay, you can go ahead and have it if you think so." But
Okay.
So here comes Troy Jr.
Troy Jr.
So yeah, and then he decided, "Will you marry me?" Yes.
Okay.
It was a fast, quick, let's get it together. I want it done and over with. I wasn't no fancy wedding, no fancy. I had a nice dress and everything. I married in a church, but Nothing.
Just family, close friends.
Close friends. I had a maid of honor, and he had a best man. That was it.
That's all you need.
I didn't need 10 bridesmaids and 20 groomsmen or whatever. That was just too much. I was simple. I'm always been just simple.
So then, how long after did you have your other boys?
3 years later.
3 years after getting married.
Yep.
Okay. How did that conversation go eventually? Because you said obviously 6 years going by, then he is better. You guys are still together. So.
Well, he decided to get sober because I was in a safe place because our landlord kind of like sold the house and kicked us out.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, well, we gotta, because it's so hard to rent a place with 3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it was double units. And when you say, how many kids you got? 3? Sorry. They discriminated.
Interesting.
So, and I had to get out. So my husband's like, well, you're going to have to ask your parents if we can move in temporarily. I'm like, ugh.
Okay.
Living with mom and dad with 3 kids. Ugh.
Yeah.
It was
something that my mom
I
went
begged
through.
him. I was like, please, of all. He goes, we have no choice.
Sure.
So he thought, okay. I mean, he was still in his modes, and because it kind of like was always like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna try. He always tried,
Mm-hmm.
and he just started, and he started doing more than alcohol and some heavy drugs, So I was in a safe place, and I said, yeah, you gotta go.
Okay. So this is, you're telling him,
I'm here.
I don't need you.
I don't need you. I'm already where, if I'm going to, like, I was in my mind was like, if I'm going to do it, I do it now because I'm with my parents.
Right.
They have my back. He went out of big party mode, and he was with his grandmother and stayed with his grandmother it only lasted maybe a week.
Okay.
And then he was like, then he came back because he's like, I can't live without you. I can't live without my kids, because he grew up in a very bad situation. I told you a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was still alive, and then he fell off the wagon again. And then
your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
And then started getting sober again. So it was just a short period that he fell off. And then I said, hey, look, and he goes, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it this time. Then my dad had passed away. So he was sober for like maybe 4 months. Then my dad died.
Okay.
So then he knew that he's been sober ever since.
It's like he took on the mantle
Mm-hmm.
of there's no other man for you now who could take care of you. So, okay.
Yeah.
Now happily ever after.
Yep. I had his ups and downs. Everybody has ups and downs with marriage, and I talk to all you guys, and you're like, with your situations, and I'm like,
yeah, you do tell us.
I mean, guys, come on, you guys gotta, with a relationship, you guys gotta pick and choose your fights.
Yeah.
You gotta pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't sweat the small stuff, and you guys gotta counterbalance. Yeah, counterbalance, people, okay? I'm not even looking at the camera. I mean, counterbalance. You got to counterbalance.
Right.
I sweat the small stuff. I mean, I sweat the big stuff.
Right.
He sweats the small stuff. I'm like, why are you getting so angry over this?
Right.
And he's like, where a major problem will come. And I'm like, and he's like,
cool as a cucumber.
Chill, honey.
Yeah.
It'll all work out.
I am like 100% that person.
and I'm like, oh my God, like the one time we were going to lose our house, almost went in bankruptcy, and I was like,
wow.
ah.
Of course,
and
that's a very scary thing.
And I'm freaking out, and he's like, chill.
And you're like, how can you be so calm right now?
Yeah, and him.
He gets cut off in traffic and he's losing his mind. Yeah, I'm him. I'm 100% him.
I'm like, wow. But you got to counterbalance.
Yeah.
And pick and choose your fight. And let you guys know, don't go to bed angry. Yeah. Kind of no.
That's not a thing?
No.
You've gone to bed angry at him
Oh.
plenty of times.
Oh, my God.
So pro tip, it's okay to be angry at your
Yeah.
partner for extended periods of time.
Oh, yeah, I went to bed for a week straight angry at him.
Just laying next to him.
He would try to like push his foot over to touch my toe, and I'd be like, "Get off of me! Don't touch me!" I put the blanket in front of him. Yeah.
A blanket barrier.
Yeah, blanket barrier.
Oh, that's devastating.
Yeah, blanket barrier. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to your boys now.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them. And the last 2 are twins, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about raising 3 different kids. I only have the one right now. So. Your face is changing.
Well, I love my boys. They're
Yeah.
all different.
All different?
Especially the twins. The one looks like me. The one's the cross between looking like me and my husband a little bit. I say my middle looks like my father a lot. It's really scary. I don't know why that came out the way it did. I mean, the genetics of the points.
Right.
Because when people say genetic can be really, he looks like my dad.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's sometimes, but then I see me. And my youngest twin, he looks exactly like my husband. Exactly. I'm talking
Spitting image.
spitting image.
Okay.
Attitude. I'm sorry.
All good.
Attitude as well.
So same
But
temperament.
Same
look.
temperament, same blow off the handle.
Interesting. Is this Junior?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Junior is exactly like me,
Okay.
but with a little bit of daddy's attitude.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. I mean, I have an attitude too. I mean, I'm a Capricorn. My son's a Capricorn. I had him January 3rd. My birthday's January 8th. So right when, and
You guys are 2 peas in a pod then.
Yep. I was 20 when I had him, and 5 days later I turned 21.
Okay. So young.
Yeah, I was
young.
really young.
Okay. All right. So
But I knew a lot about children and everything. But
were you raised around a lot of kids?
I babysat a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a big family. Babysat. I was the go-to. Can we babysit?
Okay.
So
this wasn't your first rodeo.
No.
It was pretty easy to kind of
Yeah.
get on board with it. Mm-hmm. I do have some questions about some stories about your kids. We love to hear some certain
Sure.
stories, funny, sad, angry. What are some stories of your kids that maybe they made you laugh or really pissed you off, and we can finally expose them here on camera? Because they're probably going to watch this.
yeah, my son's gonna watch it. I did a lot with my kids, and they will know too. Mom took them to the zoo a lot, didn't I, boys?
Okay, to the zoo.
Yes, I was zoo member pass, and
Sure.
as adults now, they do not want to go to the zoo. I was always swimming lessons, always did things with them, and like I said, 3 different personalities. Troy, he came out of his shell about 10th grade.
Okay.
So he struggled through school, and I kind of babied him in a way.
What do you mean by struggled? Like just socially?
Socially, because he was... My son's 6'3". So when he was going through puberty, he was very skinny.
And tall?
Tall, glasses. He likes sports. And Cleveland didn't have the sports like, Brooklyn did of the junior leagues and everything. So Cleveland didn't have any of that. So I kind of like babied him, and then he had two cousins that he always spent time with, and they were girls. So
okay. I kind of get this picture now.
yeah. So, but by 10th grade, I put him in Catholic school.
Okay.
So, because I didn't want to send him to Cleveland schools,
Okay.
and because I didn't want him to get picked on, and he claims to this day that he wouldn't have gotten picked on.
Right.
But I kind of overlook what he tells me. Then when the twins, they were totally different. They were I found out they were different. Not, always knew they were different, but when I used to dress them alike, all the way up until they were like 4.
Oh, one of those.
like 3, 4 years old, until
Okay.
my son Jacob came and said, "I just want to wear what he's wearing." I'm like, okay.
4 years old, he said that?
Yeah, about 3.5, 4 years old.
Okay.
I just went to wear what he's wearing. I'm like, okay. Joel, I found out about maybe 4 years old, right before kindergarten. He was ADHD, OCD, anxiety.
Okay.
So, and he struggled in school. Very, very, very antsy in school. I'm talking to where they would say, yeah, he got up and just walked away, and they tried everything. So I took him out of public school and put him in for an alternative learning school.
How old is he?
Right now,
Yeah.
30.
Okay, so
Gonna be.
he's around my age.
Yeah.
Did they recommend medication to him?
He was allergic to it. Yes, we tried the
Interesting.
medication. So he was allergic to all stimulants, and it was funny because I was like looking at him, and he's on the floor drawing, and all of a sudden he's going that. I'm like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
I looked at my husband. I said, it looks like he just did a whole bunch of cocaine. You know?
Right.
And he goes, my husband looks, and he's just. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, I ain't doing nothing.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, you are not getting that medicine tomorrow.
Right.
So I called the doctor.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, he's allergic to stimulants.
Okay.
So they put him on Stratera, and a non-stimulant. I had issues with that, too. So I just decided not to give him anything.
Right.
Because this is not working. I don't want to put my kid on drugs.
Mhm.
And I always told him, don't do, And then at one time he, because he was like, I think he was like 16, 17 years old. He's like, and he admitted it to me, like, I want to say like 3 years ago. I don't know, something at that point. He goes, yeah, I took Adderall one time because they told me it gets me high and it'll make me. And he goes, I was bouncing, Mom. I said, yeah, because you're allergic to stimulants.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I didn't know that. I was just like, I decided, I'm like, I can't go home. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. So
now that I think about it, him being allergic might have actually been kind of a blessing.
yeah.
I have ADHD, and
Okay.
I was diagnosed pretty young, so I was on medications since either kindergarten or first grade, all the way up until 5th grade.
Oh, okay.
So I was on those type of stimulants. I forgot exactly which one it was, but
Probably Adderall.
I forget.
There were so many.
There was a lot of
because
different ones.
they tried so many different kinds.
Yeah, I remember for years I had nightmares consistently every night, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't sleep. Indigestion problems. I would have hallucinations in the middle of the night, like vivid, where I felt like I was being choked by mysterious figures in the middle of my sleep, and I'd be screaming out for my mom plenty of times, and even to this day, like I still have very vivid nightmares to this day, and I haven't been on medication since about 5th grade. I don't know if that still traits to it. So I looked into all of that medication when I was like for like my college papers, and yeah, it really isn't good stuff that we're putting these kids on. And so my mom just didn't really have much of a choice because she was a single mom for a while, and if I was getting into fights when I was off the medication, and when I would get kicked out because I'm fighting kids, and she would have to leave work to come pick me up.
I understand.
Now
I was on, I swear to God, I think I was on speed dial at my son's school, and he was in a school for alternative learning.
Okay.
And I used to fight with them. And they're like, oh, you got to come get him. I'm like, wait a minute, but you guys are a school for alternative learning. You guys
This is your
should
specialty.
So that, it wasn't so bad. And when he was in the elementary part of it, it was the high school part of it. That's where I was arguing with the school.
Right.
But the fighting, the outburst, and it was.
My mom's answer when I was in high school was, obviously at that point I was no longer on medication. My grades were tanking because when I was on the medication, my grades were phenomenal. And when I was off of it, my grades started to tank. But her solution was to just start ignoring the school calls. She just stopped picking up. She said, he's going to do what he wants. I don't know what you want.
They called me into my high school. Now this is, as you were saying, what made my kids this part made me very angry as a mother with my child.
Yeah.
And it was a boiling point with him, and I think it clicked.
Mm-hmm.
They called me, and they called the Parma cops. The school did.
Okay.
And the Parma cops weren't so happy about it. And
what was he doing?
Nothing really, just
being destructive.
It was
talking.
his ODD. That ODD is optional defiant disorder.
Okay.
He doesn't like to be touched, and they knew that. Don't touch me. They always would, don't touch me. And I told the teacher, well, you're touching him, you know?
Yeah.
You're the ones doing this, you know? You're the building him up. So they just brought him in because he was just going off the hook. They called me in, you got to come get him. We have the cops here. I'm like, oh, my God. So I go in there, and I'm at this round table. And they're going, da-da-da-da-da, and he kept on saying, well, this and this and this. He's like, they did this to me. And I said, Joel, can I talk? Can I just let them, and then we'll... He's like, no. Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
He was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you.
To all the teachers and counselors.
And Ed pointed at me, too.
And you,
I'm across that table.
He was brave.
And I was like, wham! I went straight, and it was a big round table.
Yeah.
I stood up, leaned over, and was wham! And he just looked at me, got up, and he walked out. And I looked at the cop, and I said, you want to arrest me? And he goes,
he didn't want any of it.
mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
If he didn't say it to you and just to everyone else, would you have reacted the same way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, still. You didn't want that. Want him not reacting that way.
No, I taught him differently. I taught all my kids respect.
Right.
Oh, excuse me. They have it now. There's a lot of things my kids made me proud that they came to me, my sons, because my sisters always said, oh, you got to cut the apron strings. You got to cut the cord. You know what apron strings are.
Yeah. She's saying that they're too close to you.
Too close to
too
me.
attached.
I got to cut the cord. Let them go. Let them go, you know. And this is my sister. Let her daughter have a cell phone at 9.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't let my kids have a cell phone until they're 14.
Okay.
You don't need a phone. I mean, and that was back.
Back then?
Was buying minutes.
Yeah.
I can't afford that.
Right.
You remember those?
Barely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. My son does. He's 33. The Virgin mobile phones. Mm-hmm. You had to buy minutes.
Yeah. I had minutes back middle school when I had my first phone.
Yeah, but after your minutes, remember calling after 9? Text me after 9?
No.
Oh, okay. You don't remember all that.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think I was just after that.
Yeah, it's so anyways, they always told me to cut my apron springs, cut the cord.
Right.
And
push them. Let them push the bird out of the nest.
And when my one son came up to me and said, I want to say thank you for being so strict. Mm-hmm. And I want to say thank you. I hated you back then. And I used to always tell my kids when I used to say, I hate you, I used to say, thank you. I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to like me. I'm your mother. I'm not your friend. I'm your mother. I'm supposed to guide you.
Right.
I'm not supposed to be next to you. I used to always say that to them.
Mm-hmm.
I had all my little sayings, and they all hated them, you know. Just like at Christmas time, they used to say, I want. And I used to say, you know, for Christmas, I want this and I want that. I'm like, well, do you think Jesus wanted frankincense and myrrh? No, he did not. But he accepted it anyways, you know. But they all said thank you. My son said thank you for being so strict, because a lot of my friends that I wanted to hang out with they're all drug addicts, or they're doing bad, or but there is a lot of group of kids that my sons did hang around with. They're all awesome, and they like the little tight knit little family that they.
Right.
When my dad passed away, my mom offered me to buy their house.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it because I wanted my kids to be established in one home.
Mm-hmm. Unlike you.
Unlike me.
Right.
Because that really messed me up.
Yeah.
It did.
So now they have stability for the most part.
And I'm trying to like pawn my. You want to buy the family home? Do you want to buy it?
Because you're like, I'm trying to leave.
Yeah, I'm trying to leave, and but I liked that they were in, because my husband did move a lot too. Both of us are so much alike.
Right.
That he moved a lot, and he was bounced a little bit. His was a little worse story than mine.
Right.
His was way different. That's something maybe you'll have him on a podcast one day.
Sure.
And ask him about his story because it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I gave him establishments, and I do have other stories where my sons made me mad. It's Troy, and I do have a story if you have time.
Yeah.
Boys fight.
Yeah.
They fight a lot, and I did put up with a lot of fighting.
Before you continue, how far apart is Troy from the twins?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Okay. I was 6 years from my brother.
Yeah.
So when we fought, I was clearly always the winner.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Our fights in our house with my sons was like a big brawl because if one fought with the other one and the other one go to try to break it up, then I had all three of them fighting. And then all three of them fighting, then here comes Dad.
Yeah. Okay.
Here comes Dad down to go try to break all three of them up fighting, and they all start fighting with Dad. So I got 4 men, basically, because they were like men, because they were all teenagers,
Yeah.
fighting, and here I am. But my son just got braces one time, and this is when he just got his braces, and he went to the park with his bike, and there was this kid there, and I think his name was MJ, but the kid ended up, he's passed away. The kid, he jumped my son and stole my kid's bike.
Okay.
My son, they knew who he was. So somebody called my house and said, you got to get down here to W.C. Bryant now. Joel got jumped, and he's leaking. That's what they call it, leaking.
Why are we laughing? I was trying to be serious.
That's what the kid said. He's leaking. And I'm like, wow. Blood everywhere.
Of course.
So
In the moment, you were freaking out, though.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
So I'm like, oh, my God. I jump in the car. I looked at Troy and Jacob. I said, gotta go. They're like, where are you going? I said, Joel just got jumped. And I got in the car, and I look over, and there's his brothers. And I'm like, okay. I said, I can handle this. No, we're going. I'm like, okay. So
Okay.
I drove, and there's his friend waving us down because he sees my car.
Yeah.
I'm not even stopped.
And they jump out?
The car's still going, and they're out the car. And I was
talking to his friend, figuring out where the guy is.
Oh no, the kid was still standing there.
He was still there.
Oh, that kid was still standing there proudly with my son's bike, laughing.
Was it just him by himself?
And my other son was. The other kids are trying to get the bike back, and the kid, So, but I don't. I just remember the kid was there, still standing there, and my 2 jumped out. I put it in park. I go over to Joel. He's oh my God, his braces are all messed up, and there's blood everywhere. And I was like, and there's my 2 sons on top of this kid, beating the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Bam,
I mean, like,
bam. I'm trying to break it up, and I'm like, oh my God.
because now they're like they're taking it too far now. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. So and then the kid took off, and my son turned around and said, why'd you come and do that? I thought you hated me, we're always fighting, you know. That's what you. And my son said, I'm the only one that's allowed to do that to you. They were like, oh, that's
Yeah.
us. That's us.
Yeah.
We're brothers. No one else is gonna
For sure.
Blood. And I'm like,
That's their moment there.
that's my moment.
Yeah.
You know, brothers. You know.
They fight, but they can fight with each other. No one else. Yeah, I love that actually.
Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, he had to get jumped in order to see that.
Yeah.
Was it only one kid?
What? They jumped my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one kid, I don't know why his friends, I'm like looking at his friends going, and you
Yeah, what did the friend
this?
do? What was he just standing there?
Yeah, I don't know. This is, you got to remember, this is like, they're going to be 31 now. This is back when they were like 12, 13.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, I got to remember, but I do remember that.
Sure.
Oh, the kid is dead because he was joined a gang, and here, karma. My son had to call me up and tell me, you know that kid, he's dead. So.
He's. I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. Oh wow! But
And I have stories about my other Jacob. Jacob is, I love my Jakey. I love him.
yeah.
We have a bond, and it's like a close bond because he always came to me for, you know, what can talk to mom. I was his go-to talking to and venting to. He was my hardest for.
Hardest to raise.
Yeah, he.
Okay.
Yeah, but I always thick and thin. I always was there for him.
Right.
And. Yeah, but he is so smart, and he never really thought he was all through school. And he got his GED. He's the one who dropped out, but he did get his GED. I'm very proud of him for that. And I'm very proud of where he became now to where he was as a teenager.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's the one that went to jail at 18 years old, and that was his eye-opener of, wow, I don't want to go down this path of angriness, and if this is what's gonna get me, then I don't want this.
Right.
You know, and I'm very proud of him for that. I'm very proud of all my boys. They all became everything that I hope for them to be, you know, and especially my son Joel with the problem, with all his disabilities. He owns his own business. He makes phenomenal money, you know, and he's a very, very hard worker. He works from the time he wakes up until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You know, 6 in the morning, he's cutting grass or cleaning buildings at 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning.
He's hustling.
I'm talking hustling. He tells me like, oh, I got home at 3 in the morning and he's up at 7.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of work.
Yeah.
But he's got goals.
He's got goals.
Yeah.
And he always said that I want to have my own landscaping business. Jacob always wanted to do something like physically, like right now he's going to school and he works at a stretch lab. So he's like a I don't know, like a physical therapy.
Oh,
like
okay. I was very confused.
So it says stretch labs where you stretch your muscles and everything. So something. He told me what it is. I can't remember. I don't know if it's physical therapy or something else.
Along those lines, but
yeah, along those lines.
Yeah, he cares about fitness and health, and he wants to help teach others.
Troy's always been, like I said, he always wanted to play football, and he plays professional flag football.
Okay.
Evil Empire.
Give us a sponsor.
Yeah. He sells the cars. I don't know if he likes it. But he makes good money doing it.
Sure. That's the day job.
Yeah, this is his day job, and he does very well at it, you know, because he's got the gift for gab like his mom. He likes to talk.
Yeah.
So, like I like to talk, you know.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, I've seen you sell. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was worse at Hickory Farms, though, when I was there. And now I'm a grandma.
Awesome. full circle now. So now everything you've had to do, being strict on them as when they were kids, how are you now as a grandparent?
My son sits there and says, "You didn't do that for me." And I was doing some last week, and I had the granddaughter in my arm, and I was, now, hi, yes, you too, huh? I was like kissing her, and she was standing there because she's starting to walk now. Jovi's starting to walk, and she just stands there like a little priss. But she doesn't, and she goes slowly down. And she stands back up, but she won't do that initial.
Okay.
I mean, and he was filming with his brother, Jacob, my middle child, and then I started kissing the baby, and I brought the little Troy over there, and he goes, "You see that? She never did that with us." I looked at him. They act like I wasn't a loving mom because I try not.
Selective memory,
yes,
it seems like.
I know, very selective memory. And it's like, I'll bring the babies McDonald's or something. Now, I never got McDonald's. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I think my mom can attest that sometimes we misremember some things that our parents did for us when we were younger.
We used to have at my house, Friday nights was mom did not cook.
Okay.
We either got pizza, whatever, it was free for all, whatever you want.
Yeah.
At one time, I had to go to Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell.
Oh, you didn't make them compromise either.
That was at one point. And one time I came to the point is like, look, I'm not doing this running around no more.
Pick one thing.
At one time you'll probably remember this. Remember when Burger King was giving the Pokemon balls with the gold?
I do.
I do.
I very much do. Yeah. I was a little too young to kind of remember it like vividly, but
Oh no.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't get
Troy, he's like 3 years older than you, so
yeah.
And his brothers always follow suit. Oh, brother wants it. Oh, it's cool, brother. If brother,
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I get it.
We had to go to Burger King a lot when those Pokemon balls.
Okay.
'Cause he had to collect them all.
Okay.
And he wishes, don't you? He does wish that he still had those Pokemon balls with the little gold little coins in them.
Yeah, because they're worth quite a bit now.
Yeah.
You see my figurines, my games and stuff. I am very much into the world. I know.
Yep.
I know exactly what it's worth.
I got a box it's going over to, but I got to get the two together. I have all the wrestling people
Okay. Yeah, the wrestlers.
in the box.
Oh, I wish I still had mine from a kid. Yeah.
In the box.
Oh, still in the box.
I put them away. Me and my husband put them away.
In their original boxes.
And they were so pissed. They didn't understand why we were putting these wrestling people away. You're not allowed to take it out of the box. What do you mean we're not allowed to take it out of the box? You're not allowed to take... I got Andre the Giant, which was my son's.
Yeah.
Still in the box.
And wrestling's bigger than ever. So right now?
Yes. And just like the one time I took my son's Pokemon cards away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, I gave them back to him.
Mm-hmm.
A whole little... not much, but...
Sure.
I said, here, I found these. Remember when I took these away? No, I don't. Here, but here you go.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's like... and he jumps up and he bounces. And he calls his friend.
Okay.
Mom just gave me my old Pokemon cards. Guess what's in there? So I guess it was a good card. I don't know.
For sure.
But because he was like... and bounced, he was like a little kid jumping in the, yeah.
That is awesome.
So I was like that mom, so he got his Pokemon cards back, got all his wrestling people back.
I actually, from a young age, started to preserve my own games. Like the console that sits behind you was one from our childhood.
This one?
Even more. It's a Nintendo 64 to the other side of you. Yeah.
Oh yes, I remember that.
That was the one that we had at our childhood home, and I always kept it in boxes and stored it. Even throughout high school years, I was very meticulous about that kind of stuff and keep preserving stuff.
That's old, but
Fair enough. Yeah. It's old to me.
You want to know what I'm kicking myself in the ass for?
Oh, what?
And at the time, I needed the money.
Right.
I had a garage sale. I had an Atari system with 40 games. Still worked.
Yeah.
I sold it to an older lady.
you remember which Atari? 2600, 5200?
2600
Okay. Yeah.
with 4 joystick
Yeah,
thingies.
for sure. The one button.
I sold it to her for $45.
Could you imagine now if I just like, well, now we brought it back to you.
Oh. But I needed the money.
Of course, you have to make
I
sacrifices.
had to make sacrifices. There's so much I added, you know.
Yeah, for as much as I love preserving all of this, and this was a big part of my life for years and years and years. If for whatever reason I find myself where I need to buy diapers for my daughter and I didn't have money, yeah, this would go right in a heartbeat.
I had a garage sale and I was like, I needed some money, you know, just needed money because my husband was a he was a sub laborer, you know, subcontractor laborer. So it was always in and out jobs, in and out jobs, in and out jobs, you know.
Right.
So
You just did what you did to get by.
yep, did what I had to do to get by.
Well, I do have a final question
Sure.
for you. Just looking for some advice for any new parents out there that, because we're growing up in different times now. We're raising our kids in different times now. And you raise boys who are with technology, with social media and stuff. So you might actually have a better perspective as to what we might be doing, what we might need to do.
Be patient. Be very patient. I try to have much as patience as I could, and a lot of it I have a lot of regrets. Don't yell. I was a very much of a yeller because I came from the era of we got our asses beat. My mom just had to do we knew what that meant. Don't try to overspoil your kids. You know, I see some people who spoil. And advice for parents, it drives me nuts. Put down the devices, please. Put down the devices, please. The kids have got that tablet, that cell phone in, and I see it a lot. That like I go to the park, you know, walk Jovi and them, and the kids are. Yeah. When you go to the park, leave the cars in the phones in the car.
Right.
I know you might need it, like, oh, I might need it for emergencies.
But they're not using it like that.
But they're not.
Yeah. If they did, you wouldn't care then.
No. I mean, I didn't have devices. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that cell phone in case of emergencies. My parents didn't have that phone for a case of emergency. Quality time is a lot. I wish I would have did a lot more quality time. Like I said, my husband was a recovering alcoholic. I was very stressed out. Mm-hmm. I was trying to balance how I was going to pay the next bill because he drank his paycheck away. How am I going? I was on welfare, but quality time. Just if you get stressed out, take a breather. Sit down with your kids. Go to the park. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And just have patience. Those tantrums will go away because children don't know how to express themselves, their anger, and they're learning that. That's why they blow up. Like, I saw my grandson, he throws his fit. I'm like, look, buddy. Look, I had 3 of you. You can go in your other room and do that.
Yeah.
I did get angry at him the other day. I'm like, I had to stop because I was like, oh my God.
You could feel yourself.
This is the old me. Don't do this. You're the grandma. And I did stop.
Yeah.
Because he was literally throwing a fit because I wouldn't get his dinosaur out of and I was trying to put his sister to sleep. And he kept on waking her up. that was a day that she didn't nap very well, and every time he woke her up. So he's like, I want you. And I went in there, I took that dinosaur. I was like,
You want your dinosaur so bad.
That's why I said, you couldn't do this yourself. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the old me. Don't, I mean.
How old is he?
He's 4. He's going to be 4.
Of course.
This is
they bring it out of you really quickly.
They do, but.
You know it. Yeah. You quickly are like, let me stop.
Breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe. Just breathe.
Yeah.
Walk away. Distract them. If they're throwing a fit.
Advice that my mom would tell me if someone wanted to fight me, walk away. And it's funny how we have to use the same advice for our own kids.
Yeah, but and then there's another thing you can deter them now. And I never use this tactic, and you should. Hey, go get me that yellow ball over there, and you'll say it's a red ball.
Okay.
Yeah. Say, stop crying and just go get me that yellow ball. And they'll, that's a red ball. It works. It makes them
lock in. They focus. Yeah.
They're like, wait a minute. It's like a reverse psychology game, with children. And the 1, 2, 3 does not work.
No. No.
I think I counted when the kids. I tried to do that with Joel, and I know that for a fact. That you give me that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. But just please have patience. Put down the devices.
Yeah.
Spend more time. There's a lot of free things out there in the world that you guys can do. Everybody's like, I don't have the money for that. The National History Museum is free. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is free. The zoo is free on Mondays. There is a lot of free things to do.
Yeah. Make the effort.
Take the effort. Even if it's an hour,
Yeah, you have to start building those memories.
Build the memories. My kids don't think they have memories, but I don't know why they don't think I have memories, but I have the memories, so I don't know where you guys were. I must have did it by myself, you know what I'm saying? But then they like, oh, it's like the other day, my son goes, yeah, I remember going to your, because I worked at Mark's, and I was a cashier supervisor there, and for, I think 3-4 years, and he goes, yeah, I remember the your picnics, your employee picnics, end of the year picnics, and he goes, those were fun at Dover Lake. I'm like, but I didn't do anything with you. I think he went. So, yeah.
Catching them now. Yeah.
But that's it.
I think they definitely understand, though.
Yeah, they do. And I kind of like rub things into my son now when he does things, and I'll be like.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom loves to do that to me when I ask her questions of like, Mom, how do I do this? And she's like, you did the same thing to me. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to get advice now.
My son fell down the steps the one time, and as he was throwing a fit, I was trying to get him upstairs to go to his room, and he threw a fit and fell down the steps, and his lip went, and he busted that little, that little thing on your lip right there?
Yeah.
And it was bleeding everywhere.
Oh.
Took him to the hospital, and the doctor was like,
Fine.
That's the mouth. The mouth is one of the fastest healing places that'll go scroll. I'm like,
even if he's right, when you hear that, when your child is bleeding, you're like, he doesn't know a thing. This doctor doesn't know anything.
That's what I thought. I'm like, yeah.
Well, Kim, thank you.
You're
thank you for
welcome.
coming on the show.
Sorry, talk too much.
No, you're fine.
Okay. This is what it's about, right?
This is what it's about. We'll definitely have to have you back on, or your husband, and get his side of the story. And also your son.
Yes.
I'm calling you out now.
Troy, he's calling you out.
Well, guys, again, this has been episode 21. Thank you guys.
Thank you
for joining us.
I have so much fun. I like this.
I'm glad you came on.
My son called me, oh, you're going on a podcast. He was like, okay, then.
Call it a show. Let's make it sound a bit more professional.
Yeah.
Thank you. And my name is Nazareth.
And I'm Kim.
And we're out.
All right, bye.